Good morning, good afternoon, whichever time zone you belong to. Welcome to the ENARC Power Talks. I'm excited to be a part of this wonderful initiative. And I'm Fatema Agarkar, founder of the Agarkar Centre of Excellence, also popularly called ACE. I think the word Agarkar gives it a bit away. I'm here to talk about a topic that I'm not only passionate about, honestly, I bat, bowl, and field for it. It is the focus on physical fitness. I was reminded when I got onto this power talk that, fitness is never really associated as a lifestyle choice in this country. We always associate it with an end goal. It could be excelling in sport. It could be, making it a career. I think we need to rethink the fact that in the next 30 years, India as a country will be one of the youngest populated nations of the world, democracy as well, of course. But what's going to be very important is we are going to face with some mental health challenges, more importantly, some physical challenges. Two of them are obesity and diabetes. So in order to combat the next 30 years, we're going to have to rethink what we've done. I think the pandemic has taught us that. All the plans that we made pre-pandemic were on paper. The pandemic hit us and then we started implementing it. Why didn't we do it before? It's just that we did not have the foresight to anticipate that these problems could become, in a lot of ways, life-threatening. Those who've survived or recovered from coronavirus, and I've had friends, including 30-year-olds and 20-year-olds who've recovered from coronavirus, are those who are fitter, whose body could combat. And I think the next 30 years are going to be dictated by the fact that we're going to have to focus on our body. So physical fitness, whether yes, you can go ahead and excel, in a sport later on, but the fundamental focus is going to be a lifestyle change. Physical fitness is not restricted to you going out and running, a 20-kilometer run. It's not about just going out and playing. It also involves in a number of things that you can do, indoors, outdoors. Let's analyze the next 15 months. We might just see a stop and a start. Look at the United Kingdom. They were the first country to open up. Their schools were open even in lockdown. But look what's happened right now. Till March, they are indoors. That means they restricted movement. Does that mean that we change our goals on physical fitness? So let's start with the basic premise that physical fitness is important. And those of educators who are watching and are celebrating what India did in Australia, in the last 2 days, we've had a young team win. Please understand, none of these people had access to ground space. They were training indoors. There are enough YouTube links, Insta pictures for you to know that even in their bio bubble, they were training indoors within the confines of their small hotel room, because they recognize that when you go out in the physical world, it's the core work that you've done. It's the functional work that you've done. It's the training that you have put in that allows you to therefore be injury free when eventually you get a chance to be on the park. Yes, India has gone through a lot of injuries. I mean, the team that played the last test match was not our first team. We've had a string of injuries. That is also because of the fact that people have been, in lockdown. So we're going to have to think about the decade ahead. If we start thinking about physical fitness as that balm, as part of your DNA, as that something that oils our body, gives it that mobility, gives it that flexibility, enables the body to remember our movement, to remember the fact that it needs to be ready for when it needs to go through more intensity. Physical fitness could be included in your yoga activities. It could be just doing, short shuttles in your house, running up and down the stairs. It could be it could be cycling. You don't need a 20,000 square feet gym to be able to do that. What's important is first the mindset, the acceptance that you know what, I will put in that time. And for an average adult, and I mean you and I, well, you know, at 45, I give my body that 1 hour, 2 hours a day. And I break it up between morning and evening, because what happens is when you start off exercising with that physical fitness routine, could be anything, exercise cycle or take a cycle down. All this is permissible, all this is allowed, all this does not require fancy equipment or space. It's basic equipment. But what it does is generates your metabolic rate to a level that your body is starting to absorb the nutrients from the food. You tend to not overeat. Try that. Do this, exercise for a week, and you will see how your body starts to limit its intake. Automatically, all the problems that are being associated with obesity and with diabetes and with sedentary lifestyle and being locked at home and working from home and all of that uh, changes. Imagine when you put that into perspective for your children. Hey, listen, all the math teachers listening to me, or the English teachers listening to me, or the history teachers listening to me, you are not going to be excused from this. It's not the physical teacher's responsibility. You know what? You wanna talk when your children return in the physical world or even in the virtual world. What's stopping you from taking 10 minutes and getting them to skip on the spot and think of 20 different temples in this country? The idea is to use fitness as part of everyday routine. When you start thinking like that, you start implementing it. And I cannot tell you how important it is for adults and for children to do that. So don't, as educators, we worked in compartments, we work in silos. You know what? That's the sport, that's the football sir's job, that's the cricket sir's job. You can see that your concentration level in your classrooms, in your virtuals or in the physical classroom, will also be helped if the children are getting enough exercise. So ensure that you have those conversations with the children. Team up with the math teacher and the PE teacher, if you're an English teacher, and say, what can we do as, a treasure hunt to get these kids to just run around in their house? Let's combine all our 3 periods together and see how we can make this an obstacle course while they're doing the treasure hunt. They have to skip, they have to be on one leg. There are many ways to promote exercising in not the traditional form. So I'm not going to talk about, I'm always been associated with sort of a out of box thinker, because for too long people tell me, I don't have access to a trainer, I don't have access to a gym, I don't have my yoga mat, I don't have access to a park, I can't do this, I can't do that. There are lots and lots and excuses for physical fitness. And I was here to tell you, don't make it an excuse. Make it a part of your DNA, make it a part of your lifestyle choice, because this is what's going to help us cope. Like, I'm not just talking about the next year, I'm not talking about 15 months, I'm talking about 30 years from now. If you actually analyze history, 1980 to 1920, we went through the Spanish flu. Those who have emerged, those countries that have emerged, and this is a statistic that will scare us as Indians, are countries like Japan, like China included, Europe, America. They have progressed because they have put a price on physical fitness. It is important that their kids, their adults, community invest a lot in exercising, in physical fitness. Automatically you start eating right, you start sleeping right. And I've had psychiatrist friends who've told me, Fatima, this is the most difficult time for children. You know what? We've had 10 months of virtual world. Some states might open up sooner. You might have kids in the physical world. What's going to be most important is the socially distant physical activities. They need that. They need that in a structured way. They need it in a program way. They need it in an age appropriate manner. Often I have all these teachers and including coaches tell me, this is a cool exercise. And, from the keto to the vegan diet, we've heard so much. So there's a theory and there's an approach for everything. What's fundamental is running, playing, skipping, cycling. This does not change. So when you start thinking along those lines, automatically you will stick to the core. So I'm here to talk about that because we get, there's some alkaline water and there's some acidic water, and there are 20 glamorous things out there. You don't need them. Stick to the core, stick to the fundamentals, because that fitness, irrespective of whether you're in the physical world or lockdown, and we are going to see a start and stop model where we might be in lockdown, who knows, in 6 months. Then what are you going to do when you don't have access to these, Zumba gyms and all of that? Try and stick to exercises, routines, like I said, that are basic, that are core, that irrespective of whether you're traveling or whether in your house or you're at work or you're in school, you can consistently do it without upsetting the routine. So what I've given you is a solution. Don't go for the glamour, go for the core, go for the basics, because that stays with you. Make it consistent. It is very, very difficult for me to accept that children today do not have any sleeping patterns. After 10 months of being in a pandemic as well, parents have not figured it out, nor have the children. Children are sleeping less than 6 hours a day when they are grade 1 and 2. This, any psychiatrist will tell you, any nutritionalist will tell you, any sports coach will tell you, this is life threatening, because the body needs 10 to 12 hours at that time and that age, so that the body can start recovering, so that the body is able to gear up for what it's going to receive the next day. And what the children are doing is denying the young bodies of that. It's almost like sucking the air out and saying, now go survive. It's almost taking the oxygen away from the room and saying, you know what, you should learn how to breathe. You cannot. So what we're doing is slowly and steadily, because the focus has not been on regularizing fitness, there are compounded effects. So I'm not going to say that first get them to sleep and eat better. I'm going reverse. When the body goes through a bit of sweat, when the body goes through a bit of movement, where there's flexibility and there is, different types of workouts. There's a full body workout. You strengthen your arms, your legs, depending on what sport you're playing. But I'm saying take away from all of that. I'm saying, why don't we look at it from a full body workout where you are learning to mobilize? Yoga is a great example for that. It can happen anywhere. All you need is one mat. Even if you don't have a mat, you can do it. It works the body. You can cycle. That's great right now. You know what? And I think at least in Mumbai, we're going to think of having cycles as an option as opposed to cars on the road. So those are the changes that are happening. See what you can do to incorporate that. For educators, if children are not playing enough, if children are not exercising enough, they definitely are not sleeping and they're definitely not eating. And you know what's going to happen? That lethargy comes into our classrooms. Then we're screaming at them and saying, pay attention, turn on your camera, stop doing this, stop irritating, and stop messing with the screen. You know why? Because there is a lot of energy that has not been exposed, that has not been channelized. So I'm going to say, and I'm going to put a bit of pressure on these educators, all of them. Like I said, it's not the PE teacher's responsibility. It's going to be all our responsibility. The moment you start thinking as a school, as a team, that exercise is important and that it's going to help you in your classrooms. Better concentration. This is a scientific fact. There are studies done in Stanford and Harvard that talk about the inclusion of sport or physical fitness. And sorry, excuse me, I keep saying sport. Inclusion of physical fitness as a trigger for better performance. Where we used to take away the PE periods because we had to finish portion, give those PE periods back and tell them, go out there, get it out of your system. So when you're in my classroom, you can concentrate better. Honestly, physical fitness or sport also involve important life skills. We keep talking about 21st century learning and critical thinking and creativity and decision making and communication. Yes, we do it in our lesson plans, and we're honing those skills. Sport is a non-threatening way to do it. Physical fitness good. You can get the entire team together, your entire class together. You can do this as teachers, as a great staff exercise as well. Get them to play dodgeball. Get them to play tag. Play four corners. You know what? Think about all the skills the children are they have to listen, they have to follow the cues, they have to move with speed, they have to make a second decision, I beg your pardon, between blue or yellow because they'll get caught out. Physical fitness, again, is not restricted to yoga mats. It's your traditional musical chairs that we used to play at parties, yeah, from the old days. That's physical fitness as well. Anything that involves, and that's the scientific definition, anything that involves movement from place A to B is a form of using your body energy, your left and right brain combination, your muscle memory to mobilize all those muscles which are important. Um, you know, think of it when you're in an airplane. Why do they get you on a 14-hour flight? And I've done it to New York to tell you, listen, after every hour, can you walk around in the cabin? Because your muscles need to be supple. Your body needs to constantly need that oiling in the sense by walking or moving around, so that when you get off the flight, you are not exhausted and you are able to cope with the jet lag. It's exactly the same from lockdown to the physical world as well. A lot of them tell me, Fatima, I don't like running. You like walking? Walk up and down the stairs. Give yourself, okay, you can't do 2 hours a day. Can you do 1 hour a day? Start off with simpler goals. Start off with 20 minutes a day. High intensity workout, not for you. It's okay to even walk for 20 minutes up and down. It's the idea of maintaining a fitness level that does not get you exhausted. And one quick way of measuring is walk up and down a flight of stairs, only 3 floors. And if you are huffing and puffing, you are not fit. You are then exposing your body to a lot of evils, whether it's a cough, cold. Your body is not able to take it because your body does not have resistance. So what physical fitness does is include that layer, which is why it's so important for you to start thinking for your kids accordingly. What can you do to mobilize those kids to start loving sport or physical fitness? A lot of them tell me, some of them just don't like to go out and play. They're very timid and they're very shy. Maybe it's the body weight, body image, body shaming. A lot of middle school and high school kids are going through this. Forget that, a lot of adults are going through it. I know a lot of people, the joke during the pandemic first was, your jeans are going to become 5 size bigger. Why? Why? Why should they become 5 size bigger? If you had maintained, if you, worked enough, swap. Even initially I was telling people, all you have to do is don't sit down in front of the television. Even if you're watching the television, can you just do basic floor exercises? The idea is to mobilize. So if your kids are shy and timid and, are afraid of their body, that's where you play a big role. That's where you talk about, exercising and physical fitness to ensure that they no longer feel insecure about their bodies. I am not talking about weight here. I am not talking about being lean and slim. There are some athletes in the world, and great examples are, the American athletes. They have huge confidence purely because they love their bodies and their body sizes are much larger than the petite ones available. That's fine. But the confidence comes because they have trained, because there is that physical fitness. They feel stronger, they feel better. So let's then talk about mental health, how physical fitness helps. Exercising creates these hormones in the body that generate positivity, that create a kind of shield within the body to enable you to start thinking of doing more things. Otherwise, during lockdown, what we had seen is people were just quite happy to do it the next day. When you exercise, that metabolic rate, that heartbeat, that air in the lungs gives you a sense of purpose, enables you to start thinking positively and not negatively. There is work already being done. I mean, I think there's a lot of research being done in this particular area, and the initial reports and the discussion papers in the journals have been simply that even if it's a 20-minute, just squats or just Surya Namaskars, you don't have to do 200. You can do 10. And I'm not a big yoga fan. And I'm saying that's one thing that I've learned, that my excuse was, oh, I can't go out and do it. But you can do it at home. And that helps. Just giving your body that lubricant, so that your mind reacts to it. So there are lots and lots and lots and lots of benefits of physical fitness. And the focus on physical fitness is now in the NEP as well. The NEP emphatically, 2020 has spoken about the importance of sport, physical fitness, and of course the other co-curriculars. Simply, and if you would really want me to state it, educators, the careers of tomorrow are not going to be doctors, engineers, and biologists. It's actually going to be creative skills. It's going to be sports. These are the skills that you cannot duplicate. Yes, I know. So there is a professor at the London Business School, Minnof Shafiq. She has beautifully summed it up for me, and I love always talking about it, because she said anything that's repetitive is going to get automated tomorrow. The one thing that will not get automated is sport. And for you to become that sportsman, you'll also have to generate some physical fitness. So from a career perspective, there's a huge investment in it. But you know what? I started off talking about that it's not only outcome driven. You have to think of it as a lifestyle. You have to think about it as an important way to safeguard you from the perils that await us in the next 30 years. I'm not WHO. I'm not predicting anything. Well, technically, I think with the way they come up with their narrative, we might as well believe in what I'm saying. There's going to be volatility. We are going to see the world a bit differently than how we've lived it. The only way we can combat it is if we put a price on our body, if we put a price on lubricating that body, stimulating that body. And like I explained to you, don't go for the glamour. Don't go for those fancy workouts. Don't do all of that. You can actually come up with a simple routine at home using simple equipment. The idea is, at least 2 hours for adults. For kids, it should be at least 3 hours, depending on it. So regular breaks during their virtuals in the physical world, give them time to play. They've been deprived of it. We will not have vitamin C deficiency, and we won't be taking those shots in our arms and having all those vitamins if we just get out and have natural sunlight in our bodies. So think of all these things. Think of these as little checkpoints for you. Are you doing it? You know what? It's going to make you a more healthier person. It's going to help you think better. It's going to help you ideate better. Likewise for your children. I hope you can take this forward, and I'd love to hear from you if you are implementing it. I'm sure ENAC would love these power stories. After all, this is a power talk. Thank you.